Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Locked On Bulls. On today's episode, we'll be breaking down the Bulls signing Andre Drummond as their marquee signing so far in free agency, while every other team almost in the Eastern Conference is getting better. We'll break that down, what it means for the Bulls going forward, and more right after this.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls, member of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. That's Pat, the designer, the one and only host and creator of the Windy City Breeze. I'm CEO Haize, host and creator of Chicago Bulls Central, the fastest growing Chicago Bulls channel in the last year, by the way. I'm just going to throw that out there.
I guess I'm an all sports channel. I'll allow it.
Hey, see, you're all Chicago sports. Let me have my little corner there, brother. Let me have my corner. But Pat, I went live. We waited. We thought that the Bulls may be players. We saw players like Mo Bamba, who was on the Bulls radar, signed for 2 years, $21 million. We saw players like Hartenstein, who I was super big on, 2 years, $16 million. Yeah. We saw a lot of players that the Bulls had reported interest in sign for money that the Bulls could have offered them, but it seems like Michael Reinsdorf comments of being able to pay the luxury tax. Seems like that's all a lie, but we'll get into that a little bit later. I want to start off with this, Pat. Drummond, what was it, 2 years, $3.5 million per?
Pretty much, yeah.
How do you feel about this deal?
I like it because we came into the offseason looking for a backup big man. We got a solid backup big man to the point where I want people to go back and look at some of those Bulls games versus Philly. Look at some of those games where Philly had Drummond, and you would literally look up at times and be like, yo, did Joel Embiid get hurt? He's been sitting down for quite some time here. Drummond's a nice piece that you can put in there. He's not going to be a world beater. He's not going to put up 30 points a game. He's not going to put up probably what he did in his career, right, when he was a guy that could put up 20 points a game. But you go out there, you get a big man who's definitely going to solve your rebounding problem. I believe his defensive rating last year was a 102.
Amazing defense rating. We'll put him in the upper echelon of the league. I'll do some research on that to make sure that's what
I don't know if he gets counted as much because he didn't play enough minutes, but I believe Rudy Gobert had the best defensive rating last season of 103, but he's still around there at a 102.7, something like that. So for me, right, you got a guy that's going to be a solid defender. He's going to come in off your bench. He's going to play solid minutes. He's going to do his job. He's going to get out of there. And on top of that, unfortunately, as it is to say, and God forbid that it does happen, but we do have a team that had some injury issues. Now, Vooch was one of the more healthy people on this team, but should we have a Patrick Williams go down? Should we have somebody in our front court go down? Andre Drummond has started in big moments for teams. You know what I'm saying? He's been a starter on that Cleveland team. Detroit, he was the focal point of that team. He started on Brooklyn in the playoffs last year. Kind of, not really. They kind of go away. But, like, you know, he's been a starter on a bunch of different teams, so he can step in. He can understand that role that he has to play there. I like the Drummond signing, especially based on the fact that he's $3.5 million a year. And on top of that, right, like, I don't know if people notice, but he suffers from the Steven Adams syndrome, which is we looked at him so long that you think he's 35.
Bro, every time I see it, 28 years old, bro.
He's 28.
28. He's been in the league 10 years, but 28 years old.
There's still crazy. Some good run on them legs. I'll say that.
Yeah, for sure. One of the things that, and his defensive rating, by the way, last season, 102.4. I think you hit that on the head. That is an excellent defensive rating. And the one thing that really stood out to me is his production still. He played in durability as well. 73 games he played in last season. That's for a big man. That's we said before, what if you give us 65, we're okay with it, right?
65 at that point, because I'm assuming they're throwing some rest in there.
Exactly. 21 minutes per game he averaged.
Yeah. And
on that, he gave 11.8 points per game and 10.3 rebounds per game. He averaged a double-double. In bench. Now he did start a lot of those games.
I was going to say,
you got to look at
that's in Brooklyn. He did a lot of the higher scoring.
Yeah, a lot of the higher scoring in Brooklyn. Still over a block per game as well for him.
Yep.
Listen, I'm still not the highest on this, especially looking at some of the other deals that could be made. But we could woulda, coulda, shoulda all day. looking at this move for in the vacuum, right? And I can understand people not wanting to look at it in the vacuum. Looking at it in the vacuum for this signing, for what they did. If somebody told you, hey, the Bulls, we need rebounding, shot blocking, and some size. If somebody told you that hey, the Bulls next season are going to bring in a 6'10", 279-pound center who gets a double-double, because he's going to get you 10 and 10 and one block. Most Bulls fans would have taken that, right?
Yeah.
Now, I get it. Could the Bulls have gotten in on Mo Bamba? Those questions, whatever. Yes, they're going to be there, and they're rightfully so to be there. But I'm just saying, sometimes we do need to look at things as, close your eyes and look at this. Look at the production. If somebody would have told you that we can get last season, for example, if we had somebody who gave us that production instead of Tristan Thompson, most Bulls fans would have loved it.
I think Mo Bamba's the interesting one, right? Because he signed for what?
Exactly what the Bulls.
22 million?
21 million.
21
exactly
million. So
Bulls
he signed pretty much for what the Bulls could have given him.
Yeah.
But we had heard that like Mo Bamba's ideal spot was New York. Today we kind of heard that he had interest of being a Bull, but then before today came out, we heard that he had conversations with about going back to Orlando. The part we always want to blame our organization that doesn't get the job done and things like that. But the part that we also have to understand is it's on the player. I still have people blowing up the Discord right now because Zach LaVine has yet to sign, and I'm sure we'll talk about that. But what if Zach doesn't sign? What if Zach doesn't sign? What if Zach doesn't sign?
Then
it's Zach LaVine's choice.
Yeah, I mean, if Zach doesn't, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, there's a part of it that's also like, it's on the player to make their own life decision. So for me, right, like a lot of the moves we missed out on now, Isaiah Hartenstein and Mo Bamba, I think there can be questions there. But again, like Hartenstein said, he really liked. No, actually, he was talking about Dallas. He's an interesting one. I want to dig deeper on Hartenstein. I don't know about that one. That was a weird one. He just went to New York out of nowhere.
Now, what does that mean for Mitchell Robinson as well? Like,
bro, that's my question right now. I'm like, that was the first thing I thought. I'm like, so where's Mitchell going? And here's the thing: Bulls essentially, this contract had nothing to do with the mid-level exception, right? I don't believe. I haven't heard anything about it.
They're signing in for part of the mid-level exception.
So he's getting signed off part of the mid-level exception. So we've still got what, $7 million to work with on that mid-level exception. That's probably going to go to another player that the Bulls are looking at, in Danilo Gallinari. The question that you have to ask, and the question I'll ask you, what were the three main issues the Bulls had last season, and does this solve one of them?
The three main issues the Bulls had: rim protection, offensive rebounding specifically, needing some size, and shooting.
Well, I was going to say health.
Oh yeah, health.
Oh, yeah,
as well.
Shooting. Well, I was going rebound, rim protection, inside, shooting, health.
Yeah.
This fixes one of your problems. Danilo Gallinari covers two of your problems if you're able to get him in here. Can you be healthy? If you're healthy, I think people kind of forget this. If you're healthy, Lonzo Ball, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Patrick Williams, Nikola Vucevic, that's a heck of a team.
You know what I like about this as well? And this is just because I have so many questions when it comes to certain things, but if Justin Lewis does end up making this roster, the combination of having Justin Lewis and Andre Drummond coming off the bench, that could be nasty, bro. You talk about rim protection, toughness, that could be nasty. Now, it's up to Justin Lewis to prove and earn his minutes, right? It's going to be up to him to do that. We could very well be talking about in the midseason that, hey, why do we even still have Marco? This Justin Lewis kid is giving us everything.
I'm telling y'all, Marco's a second-round pick. He's not a factor.
Man,
Folks don't believe me, bro. Like,
that's crazy, bro. But
I'm like, yeah, AK jumped the gun on giving Marco the 3-year. I don't know what to tell you, like, but
this is gonna come back to bite them next offseason too, because they're gonna have to be paying Io
that bag,
which we're gonna talk about here up next, actually, in the next segment. Last thing before we leave this segment, brother.
Let's do it.
All right, we got Andre Drummond, right? That's coming in. Do you think that Andre Drummond is going to produce in a way that all the questions that fans have gets eliminated as the season goes on? Because you know, people gonna, every time he has, we should have got, let Mo Bamba go off. We should have got Mo. Let Hartenstein go off. We should have got Hartenstein. Like, do you think that Drummond is going to play well enough to eliminate those questions as the season goes on?
Yeah, because we just need somebody. The point of coming into the offseason, Mark Eversley told you, rim protection, rebounding. What does Andre Drummond do? Rim
Rebound and protect the
protection
rim.
and rebounding. He's not. I'll say this. I'll also say this though. Not a great rim protector, or not the rim protector that he once was. I should say,
for sure.
Maybe also being in different opportunities. Maybe playing next to Vooch will help with that. Playing next to P. Will help with that as
Next
well.
to Vooch, pause. No,
you're not gonna play Vooch at the 4 at no point. You think Billy Donovan's not gonna put them out there at the same time?
I'm telling you right now, bro. I'm going to listen. No, God, listen. Stacey King's gonna be on that soon. Oh, we got the Twin Towers. No, please, God, no, bro. You just gave me a heart attack.
I'll say this, right? When you talk about it, if you need to get rebounds and keep people away from the ball, who are two people that you're gonna put on the court?
Javonte and Draymond.
That's what you're doing out here. No, I mean, they're literally like one. Andre Drummond is a historic rebounder. If you look at some of his rebounding numbers, it's like him and Wilt on some of this stuff, which is crazy to talk about. And then on the other side, you got Vooch, who's an excellent, who was our only rebounder last year. So I mean,
with Lonzo.
Well, Lonzo played 35 games, so he was our only rebounder for most of the season. So I'm not as worried about that. I feel like Andre Drummond is going to answer a lot of the questions. I don't think he's gonna Tristan Thompson us. Tristan snuck in there. Look, Tristan hiding behind you right now.
That's that dog, man. Like, I was like, what the heck just happened? All right, fair enough. Next up, we're gonna talk about the Bulls possibly avoiding the luxury tax and what this could mean and why they may be doing so, looking at some of the extensions that they may have to do coming up in the next season or so. But first, before we do that, boom shakalaka. We have big news. The one, the only NBA Jam is back. Arcade 1UP, the leader in at-home retro arcade games, is not only bringing the best game ever back, but they've made it bigger than ever with a, wait for it, Shaq Edition machine. People are obsessed with NBA Jam, and I'm thrilled to tell our listeners that you can once again play hoops with NBA legends in this arcade classic. Jump clear across the court and set the ball on fire in one of the first sports games to ever feature real and digitized NBA licensed teams. No fouls, no free throws, no quarters required. Compete with friends and family through our all-new Wi-Fi leaderboards, making you more connected than ever. Pre-order now from arcade1up.com. That's arcade, the number 1, up.com for an estimated early September ship date. Arcade 1UP is the place for fun. They've got even more classics like Golden Tee, Mortal Kombat, and many others starting at just $3.99. So check this out. They're giving away an NBA Jam Shaq Edition to a Locked On listener. Enter for a chance to win a console for your man cave at arcade1up.com/locked on. That's arcade, the number 1up.com/locked on. You've got until July 8th to enter to win NBA Jam Shaq Edition console. Don't miss out. Enter today. And who you going to play with? All right, Pat. So, rumor has it that the Bulls, part of the reason why they weren't as active in free agency is still avoiding the luxury tax. Now, I will say this. The projected numbers for the cap next season came out as well. I don't remember them off the top of my head right now.
I believe 150.8.
And then like the luxury, I know the luxury tax, I believe, was like 176, something like that. But with that being said, coming up next season, they have to extend Ayo Dosunmu, right? They got to figure out what they're doing with Kobe. And so do you feel like if this offseason was the mandate from ownership, hey, do not go into the luxury tax this season because you're going to go into it next season? Is that an acceptable answer to you considering where things are with the Chicago Bulls? Or do you look at every other team in the Eastern Conference almost improving in many ways? Heck, some people will even say that maybe Detroit has caught up with the Chicago Bulls, depending on how that team comes together. Looking at that, do you think the Bulls should have gone into the luxury tax this season?
For who?
Let's say that Mo Bamba contract for the full mid-level exception.
Would that have put us in the luxury this season?
That would have put us in the luxury tax this season because still they would have still had to sign another veteran minimum player. That would have put us in the with Zach LaVine's resigning.
So signing some no, because
using the full mid-level exception would have hard capped us and put us into the luxury.
It would have hard capped us. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's just about, can you win with what you have? Because we were talking about a backup big no matter what, and we were talking about, like, I think there's this thing in people's minds where they say, "Oh, if you get Mo Bamba, he's starting." No, he's not.
Mm-hmm. No, he was not. He was
No,
not
he's
going to be
not.
starting.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, no matter who we were going to get, we're talking about a backup big and a backup shooter.
Mm-hmm.
So was it worth it for Isaiah Hartenstein? Was it worth it for Mo Bamba? Those are the questions you kind of got to ask, especially when you've got the salary cap going up. And what do we see every single year? Some disgruntled superstar that signed a contract that he doesn't want to be a part of. There's going to be times to go into the luxury tax. But you know when that time to go into the luxury tax is? I'll tell you, that time might still be here depending on where he goes. Now, listen, I know we may not, me and you differ on this. I'm meatheading it up over here. You're more logical on this, but I'm gonna lie about it. You know what I'm saying? I'm lying to myself. If Kevin Durant come here, it's worth going into the luxury tax for.
Oh, for sure. That's without question.
Those are the kind of players you want to be going into the luxury tax for. And this is my case in point. While I believe Bradley Beal deserves all of his money, every dollar that he got, that team is in the luxury tax, and they might not make the playoffs.
Mm.
You go into the luxury tax for things that are worth it. I think Bradley Beal's worth it. The rest of the players that they paid on that team, there's some question marks on. So it's about going into the luxury tax for the right reason. I don't think going into the luxury tax this offseason would have been the right move, for the simple fact that there's not a player that we were going to bring in that was going to make us go, now we're an NBA championship level team. Everybody, Mo Bamba's a backup big. Isaiah Hartenstein's a backup big. Who was the
Isaiah Hartenstein, I think, is going to be the starter now there in New York if they don't bring back Mitchell Robinson.
I mean, New York. No, we're doing better. We're doing better than New York. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, give New York 40 games. I bet you they've turned on that team by then. So, like, I want to go into the luxury tax when this team is in a championship position, and I would rather go into the luxury tax knowing that now we have to go in here because Ayo Dosunmu's worth paying.
Mm.
Those are my things. If you've got players on your team that are worth paying, Patrick Williams, Ayo Dosunmu, let's go into the luxury tax to keep those guys and keep the continuity of this team.
That's fair. That's fair. I mean, the way that I look at it is that Wood signing Mo Bamba had been could have been a possible huge signing for Chicago Bulls, yes, but for a couple of different reasons. Because technically, you could see Mo Bamba maybe developing into your starting center at one point.
At some
if
point,
he keeps
yeah,
developing,
I do believe
he could have, right?
Yeah.
So I look at that like, to me, that's a deal that's worth it. In that case, he literally basically signed for the full mid-level exception, because on the mid-level exception, you can only give a 2-year contract. He signed 2 years, $21 million. That's really the one that sticks out to me. Hartenstein, it seemed like to me, right, that maybe the Bulls just weren't as high on him as we were. Because you got to think, 2 years, $8 million a piece?
The only question I would have there, because Hartenstein's what, 25?
He's 24, but he'll be 25 by the start.
He'll be 25. Can Drummond give you similar production off the bench? Because he was coming here to be a bench big anyway.
Yeah.
And if you feel like you can get similar production of where you would have played Isaiah Hartenstein here, now understandably he could have developed into a starter as well. I think he's gonna be the starter in New York pretty much. But as a backup big in Chicago, the numbers he would have put up, do you feel like Andre Drummond puts up similar numbers there?
I think the raw numbers would probably be the same, but looking at the advanced things, right, that Hartenstein does, I don't think Drummond would ever be able to hit those. I also think that Hartenstein is a better on-ball defender, has better switchability as well than
that
Drummond.
I agree with.
But
Andre Drummond is an old school big.
Yeah, he's very much an old school big. But but honestly, I do think, to your point, as just the backup big, right? Because that's what Hartenstein would have been this season.
Yep.
As just the backup big, I would say that they probably would have given similar numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, in fairness. Matter of fact, I'd be willing to say that on this team, especially if Lonzo's better, a pick and roll with Andre Drummond and as a lob threat, I think the Drummond may have a better scorer's punch than Hartenstein as well for the Bulls in this upcoming season as the backup big. I want to make sure I qualify that before people get to typing at me. But like, so
Hartenstein is a PER.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, the thing is too, is I think we've seen the difference is like looking at Hartenstein and his PER, how much of that is skewed a little bit because he was a backup big and playing against other backups.
Yeah.
So you don't. I look at Drummond and like Drummond's PER isn't nothing to shake your head at either. Like, let's be clear here. Drummond has a PER of 21.04. That's 25th overall in the whole NBA.
Yeah.
Right. So like that's nothing to shake your head at. So I understand why some Bulls fans are going to be disappointed and look at what could have been. But at the end of the day, like I don't necessarily look at anything that could have happened and be like, that's a surefire thing that she would have went into the luxury tax for. It would have been nice, right? Would have absolutely been nice. But
I'll say this, right? Like Bamba gives you different threat ability, and I think I believe him and Hartenstein both could have eventually developed into your starting big man. I don't think Andre Drummond really has that hope here in Chicago, but or maybe he does. Maybe his career resurges. I mean, he's 28 years old. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the thing that I will say is that Mo Bamba started last year, and yes, he had flashes. But Mo Bamba starting gave you 10 and 8.
Yeah.
Andre Drummond off the bench gave me 10 and 8.
Yeah, well, with Brooklyn, overall his numbers for last season was 7.9 and 9.3, but it's close enough, right? Close enough.
You know what I'm saying? So like the question mark to me is, did the Bulls get the best value, right? Like I'm very fine with going into the luxury tax. Go into it if you feel like you're going to be all out, but go into it for the right reasons. Let's not just go into the luxury tax to say we're going for it because we're going into the luxury tax. Washington's not going for it. Washington's not. They not like. They just like, I like the team. I like the names on the team. Porzingis, Beal, Kuzma.
Nick Claxton as well, mid-level money, 2 years, $20 million.
38 wins. 38 wins.
I feel it.
So let's go into the luxury for the right reasons, in my opinion. And bet on that. That's a heck of a segue. But before we get into this final segment, wasn't that great of a segue. Want to tell you guys about BetOnline.net. It's your number one source for all your betting needs and sports info. Find out all the latest sports development, league reviews, and news, including this year's NHL playoffs, which have concluded. The Avalanche are the Stanley Cup champions. MLB baseball. I wonder if they got a bet on who's going to win in a baseball fight. Did you see that? Did anybody see the fight? Let me know about the fight in the comments below. Did y'all see that? They was throwing them things. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. And BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite sports and events, including MMA, boxing, and golf as well. The Live Tour cracked off yesterday, and a lot of people are not happy about it because of the Saudi Arabian money. Get into it. Head to the website today and use your mobile trends and action. BetOnline. It's where the game starts.
All right. Let's get into this last one.
Woo, let's go.
We're going to talk about the deals from around the NBA, talk about what are some of the deals that we like the most, what are some that we don't, what team improved themselves the most in the first day of free agency. Pat, looking at some of the deals that were dished out yesterday, a lot of players staying with their team even after rumors of them not staying with their team. Gary Harris even stayed. Like, what are some of the deals that you think are some of the best? Let's start on the positive. Some of the best deals.
Some of the best deals. Shout out to Lou Dort for getting his money. I liked his deal. I think he played himself into a heck of a player. And I'm glad that he got his money. Also, I think he's kind of, I'm not gonna lie, like I think he's a good player. I think they kind of paid him on like the Cristiano Felicio plan though. You know, like
for
you
sure.
Gotta pay somebody.
Yeah.
Like the NBA forces you to pay people.
There's a floor that you have to be above when it comes to salary in the NBA. So yeah,
I think Lou Dort got to take advantage of that. So shout out to him for getting his money. But I think he's a good signing on that part. Another one for me is Anthony Simons for 4
4
years. Now, I will say, little surprising to me seeing as how Buddy's been good for like that long, but I like an Anthony Simons out in Portland. Find a way to get DeAndre. It's gonna be a heck of a team. I think that's probably like the two that I really looked at today. Like the Tyus Jones one didn't do anything for me. You know what? I'll say this more so on the team side than the player side, though. Chris Bouchard, did you see his deal?
Yes.
That's a heck of a get for the Toronto Raptors.
Listen. There's a lot of players that got paid things that you wouldn't necessarily think about. We were talking about getting Chris Boucher at the mid-level exception.
Yeah.
No. Like it was not going to happen.
Well, the years more so messed us up on that than anything.
Yeah,
well, not really. Kind of. What do you get? 35. Nah, we wouldn't have been able to get him. But also a 3-year deal is what changed that for us.
Exactly. Jalen Brunson, we knew he was getting his money. Mo Bamba going back to the Magic after we talked about this as well personally. Like after they did not give him a qualifying offer to still re-sign him is crazy. Nicholas Batum getting that money, $22 million for Nicholas Batum as well. There was a deal that completely shocked me when I was looking at it, and now I don't even. Oh, Marvin Bagley, 3 years, $37 million for Marvin Bagley. Like, don't get me wrong, the kid is young. 14.6 points per game, 6.8 rebounds per game with the Pistons last season and only 18 games for them. But did they look at that and say, listen, that's worth that's more than 11 million per? Like,
here's the biggest question. Now, the deal, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not mad at the deal based on wherever he plays. But the question is he your starting big or is he starting the season as your backup big?
Okay, so the way that I look at it is that he's probably going to Nerlens Noel is probably going to be the starting center there.
What's Duren doing? He's the 4?
Duren, I don't know if they start him right away. They may not start him and let him be the big off the bench, the first big off the bench.
They're gonna run 3 bigs off the bench?
Hey,
by the way,
a lot of bigs, bro.
Hey, they also signed Kevin Knox today.
I saw that. Like, well, Kevin Knox isn't really a big. Like, I know technically he plays some power forward, but like
he like a 4. He like a Kuzma to me. Yeah, he's more of a 3, I guess. He's like a shooting wing ish.
Kevin Knox for 2 years, $6 million is not bad, but like what? Bad. I can't wait to see what the Pistons lineup is, bro.
And that's the thing for me, right? Like if you and we should get Koo on here and do like a Pistons versus Bulls matchup when we had that game. We got to. But the interesting thing about it to me is Bagley's still young enough for you to say we're trying to work this in with our young lineup, right?
Mm-hmm.
But is your young lineup Marvin Bagley, Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, or is it Jaden Ivey, Cade Cunningham, and Duren? That's going to be the interesting thing, right? Because if you're going to work Duren into that and get a cohesive unit on that, yeah, you want to play the best one, but you also want to get these guys used to playing together in tough moments. Cade's got a year under his belt. He's going to be able to facilitate to these guys and make them look a little bit better. I might start off with Duren, and in that situation, right, did you pay Drummond just to eventually trade him? Or not Drummond, I'm sorry, taking it back right there, right? Did you pay Bagley just to eventually trade him, I should say?
Probably. I think the Bagley thing is so you can bring Duren, I think, around a little bit slower, have some insurance there if Duren gets in foul trouble, has some issues like a lot of young bigs do. But it's a reasonable deal, right, that you can move, like, especially with the salary cap going up, that $11 million you can move easily. So, What do you think? What do you think about Devin Booker signing for 4 years, $214 million? There's a lot of there's 3 Supermax signed at the very beginning of free agent. Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Nikola Jokic. Sorry, I'm so used to saying Jovic because he's covering the draft. Out of those 3 Supermax deals, who do you think the teams are going to regret by the end of those deals the most?
Bradley Beal, probably. And I hate to say it because I think he deserves every penny he got. He's played
every bit.
He's earned the money. Devin Booker has as well. Jokic has as well, obviously. But I just think that they're not going to be able to build a good enough team around him,
Mm-hmm.
and they're going to have too hard of a time attracting free agents to come there.
This is true.
I think Washington is East Coast Portland.
That's a good.
I think Washington is East Coast Portland. Like
that's a good comparison.
they've got talent. They've got players on that team that are definitely good players, but like Kevin Durant doesn't even want to go home. I mean, like the dude's from there. He doesn't want to come play for his hometown team. Like,
I mean,
you're gonna have a tough
I love
time.
DC.
Like,
DC is a great city.
Hey, listen, I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying that maybe the organization got some issues. Maybe there's something structurally. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with DC. Now Portland, that's a different thing. But
there's definitely something wrong with the city.
I'm saying that you can't get people that want to come there consistently, and a dude that's from there, and I'm pretty sure he said he grew up rooting for them.
Yeah,
don't want to be there. Didn't even make his list. He put out a list.
That's crazy.
Y'all wasn't on the list. Bradley Beal, Kristaps Porzingis, Kyle Kuzma, Kevin Durant said, send me out west.
All right, just wrapping up a few more deals around. Bobby Portis finally gets his money. Finally, keep in mind, for everyone who says the Bulls should have never traded Bobby Portis, remember, the Bulls offered him a sizable contract extension that he turned down, and then they traded him to avoid having to possibly lose him in free agency. He's just now, 3 or 4 years removed from that, signing a deal anywhere comparable to what the Bulls offered him.
For him, for that kind of player, worth it.
Oh, for sure.
He got an NBA championship out of it. He gets to be a star piece.
Maybe the starter, depending on what goes on with Brook Lopez.
I don't know about a star piece, but a big piece on that bench, right? I like the deal. I like the move. I like that Bobby's getting his money. I love Bobby Portis, right? The biggest thing about Bobby Portis is that Bobby Portis can still be found in the draft. We might have found one at Marquette, undrafted. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can the reason for me, right? Like, Milwaukee's paying Bobby Portis because Bobby Portis works so well there, and he's got the heart of the city now. Fine, perfect.
They had to.
$49 million for 4 years. Boom.
It's not bad at all.
It's not bad at all. Bobby's getting his money. It's a good team-friendly deal, I think. Both sides like it. I love it. But we might have just found Bobby Portis and Justin Lewis. And Bobby Portis was us finding Taj Gibson again. And then when we got rid of Bobby, Daniel Gafford's also making $13 million, and we had him. So you can find that guy. So I'll never be mad that the Bulls moved on from Bobby or upset. And I'm glad that he got his money. I'm glad he finally got it, man. Go get your bag. You got a ring. You got the bag. Go buy a Lamborghini or something. Do something nice with yourself, man.
Shout out to Bobby Portis for getting them checks, man.
Was there a deal you hated? Was there a deal you hated today?
That I absolutely hated.
Like, you looked at it and you were like, well, that's not going to work.
Honestly, I still think Jalen Brunson is getting way overpaid, in my opinion. But I wouldn't say that I hated it per se, but I definitely look at that and say, you really want to tie your wagon to Jalen Brunson?
See, I'm the opposite. I think Jalen Brunson's making a mistake in that situation because the Mavericks were going to pay him close to that, right? Didn't they say they offered him 106?
Yeah, but they only did that, I think, because of the New York rumors, and then I don't think they initially came into the season saying, "Hey, we're about to offer Jalen $100 million."
Only reason I don't buy that is because there's no way in the world Mark Cuban's helping another team out. Like, hey, we're gonna lose our draft picks. Mark Cuban's gonna be like, okay. like, hey, bud, it's Shark Tank, baby. You didn't buy.
No, I'm not saying to help another team out. I'm just saying that I don't think that they came into this offseason saying, hey, we're about to give Jalen Brunson $100 million. I think they probably came in and said, hey, can we get him to sign for 4 years on 85? And then they're like, hey, New York's about to offer him 110. What? What? That's what I think happened.
Well, I agree with you, and I think, but I do think, right, like, Jalen Brunson's that level of player, but I don't like that he hitched his wagon to New York because, I mean, that starting lineup is what? Jalen Brunson, Evan Fournier, RJ Barrett,
Julius Randle,
Isaiah Hartenstein. Yeah. What's that? the same amount of wins they just got, 30, 39.
That's
I was messing with Knicks fans on Twitter too. I said
about
29.
35 wins.
I said 29 wins. They were like, "How are we gonna lose 8 more games?" I was like, "Bro, like y'all are taking this too serious." But you said they're gonna get 45 wins.
I said 35 wins.
Oh,
35 wins. Let me enunciate a little bit better.
Yeah, I give them 39.
But you know what the biggest the biggest signing of today was, and I think everybody's going to agree with this. This is literally going to transform this team into a championship team. Troy Brown Jr. signing with the Los Angeles Lakers for the veteran minimum.
That boy got a ring coming, bro. Here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. When I saw that, the first thing I thought was not, man, they signed Troy Brown for the vet minimum, man. That's bogus. First thing I thought was, and that's still LeBron, AD, and Russ over there. Is Troy Brown gonna be the next Bull to leave and get a ring? Like Otto's got one, Bobby's got one.
Listen. That's
Cam's
some shit that would absolutely happen. Troy Brown Jr. turns into the 3-and-D wing that we actually need, where he actually is just out there draining threes. Like, come on, fam. That better not happen, bro.
Bro, that might happen because he's 22.
And they got Lonnie Walker Jr. Or the fourth.
Lonnie Walker Jr. was a great pickup. I like both pickups for them. Shout out to Troy. I like both pickups.
Shout out to the Lakers for finding a way to add to that team, even though what's going on. Like, shout out to them.
Yeah, I think they bolstered their bench pretty well. That's gonna be an interesting team. Does that mean they out on Kobe though? Is that what that means?
Kobe White's but like I said before,
Kobe White's
I need the San Antonio Spurs to need a 6'5" scoring guard that we can just send over there. They got a bunch of cap space over there now. I need them.
Well, I mean, here's the thing now. Who we getting back? We were gonna go get Jakob Poeltl to be our big. We got a big. Dougie McBuckets?
Devin Vassell.
Hey, y'all. Hey, don't get me excited now. You know.
Hey, I'm just saying, bro. If you mean to tell me, because keep in mind, I don't know what Devin Vassell's contract is off the top of my head, but
you know what? I think he got paid, if I'm not mistaken. Actually,
did he?
He might have got. Well, he came in the same year as Patrick Williams, so maybe not yet. But I feel like Devin Vassell actually got a.
No. His contract expires in 24-25, but right now his salary for next season is only $4.4 million.
Perfect. Let's get it.
Yeah, like listen, y'all going into actual rebuild. You don't need 4 more years of Devin Vassell on contract. Go ahead and take this Kobe White. You can let it expire next season. Pop may be able to turn him into something. That may be. What if Pop's last great thing he does before he retires is he turns Kobe White into a great shooting guard?
He turns Kobe White into one of the best shooting guards in the NBA.
Like Pop deserves to ride on into the sunset at that point, bro. But I mean, shout out to Troy Brown Jr. But yeah, if we can get Kobe White for Devin Vassell, listen.
I'm doing it. I still got a lot of high hype, and he hasn't come into the NBA and shot nearly as well, but he's still shooting 49% from 2. He shot 36% from 3 last year. I'm taking my chances on him. I'm taking my chances on him, man. But hey, appreciate y'all for tuning in and showing love on another episode, man. I think we've covered pretty much as we can cover. The reason we're going long today, I don't know if y'all could tell. I keep looking at my phone. I was
trying to wait to see if anything else. I've been refreshing like crazy, bro. Nothing.
Bro, I'm sitting here refreshing. But
guess what? If it does happen, if Zach LaVine signs at 3:00 in the morning, guess what?
We're going live.
We're going live at 3:00 in the
morning. I will say this. This is the funny thing about it. I've been refreshing, but I keep seeing Woj's name pop up. Woj is mad annoying.
Oh, for sure. Woj, at some point, Woj is going to start saying, Zach LaVine has just eaten a roast beef and cheddar from Arby's. What does that mean for his free agency?
What do you mean? Daniel Greenberg, right? Don't sign him if he's eating a roast beef and cheddar from Arby's. Don't sign him. Let him go. He's not normal. But as always, man, appreciate y'all for showing love. Follow me on everything at Pat the Designer. Follow us both on everything at Locked On Bulls. Appreciate y'all for showing So much love, man. Welcome, Andre.
Absolutely. You can follow me at CEO Haize, CEO Haize. Thank you for making Locked On Bulls your first listen every day. Now for your second listen, go and check on Locked On NBA, where the Locked On experts break everything down from news to free agent signings in 30 minutes or less every day. Available wherever you get your podcasts. Again, thank you for tuning in. For Pat the Designer, I'm Haize. I'm out. Peace, y'all.
Peace.